Hey everyone, Pat Mesiti here, live at 5. And today, look, we've got a little bit of a different take. Want to uplift you. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to, look at some of the nonsense going on and deal with that. But more importantly, want to uplift you and then make a very special announcement, world exclusive announcement about something that's coming up. But let me ask you a question. What does Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and India all have in common? You guessed it, predominantly Muslim, if not completely Muslim nations. Now, guess what? Muslim countries, they've been wearing masks for years. For years, ladies and gentlemen. They do it as a way of life. They must ask predominantly female, nonetheless. But isn't it interesting that Pakistan, 222,000, Iran, 235,000, Turkey, 202,000, Saudi Arabia, 202,000, India, over 600,000 cases of COVID-19, which tells me, guess what? The masks don't work. People think. Now, this could make us really paranoid. And that's why today I was driving along with my wife, and my wife said, you should speak about pumpkin soup for the paranoid soul. What's paranoia? Well, it's a fear of being threatened in some way or other. And basically, it's a mental thing. And right now, that's what's going on in our culture. And people are under all kinds of pressure. They are under fear, under circumstances. Some of them feel they're underpaid. They're under pressure from jobs and what's happening with JobKeeper and what's happening with the economy. They feel like they're under someone else's control. And basically, we were not meant to live under anything. The human spirit, the human psyche, people fought for freedoms. The Anzacs and the Allies fought for freedom so that we're not under these types of things. Now, of course, I'm not talking about the under pressure or under feeling like we're under overwhelmed or any of those things, but we're not meant to be under siege by our own governments. We're not meant to feel under control. We're not meant to feel under pressure. If I don't do that, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fined. This bribe and threat way of leadership has never worked and never will work, because the human soul fights against that. But what's a great remedy for us? I mean, sometimes when we're feeling like we need a bit of comfort, we need pumpkin soup. And my wife said, why don't you speak about pumpkin soup for the paranoid soul? And I thought, that's a good thought. It's a great title. And I'm wondering, I want to give you guys some comfort today. In the midst of all the pressure we're under condemnation that we feel, if I don't do this, I'm under condemnation, I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not helping the country. Where did you learn that condemnation from? Where did you learn to feel under pressure of having to submit to a standard that really is not factual nor based on science, nor something that really makes sense to the mind? Where did we learn to live under this paranoia and looking out for each other and spying on people? Where did we learn that? Well, we've learned that of late from people trying to control us. But you know what? I discovered something about pumpkin soup. Number one, pumpkin soup is something that is served at Thanksgiving. When people are thankful, what do they do at Thanksgiving? They serve pumpkin soup. Here's what I've discovered. Pumpkin soup also is good for your eyesight. We need to have a good dose of spiritual, emotional, and mental pumpkin soup to open our eyes to what's really going on and what's going on in our own world. And maybe watch us see beyond this, that word of comfort, this too shall pass. Do you know what? Fear is rooted, or paranoia, sorry, is rooted in fear. Now, I really believe that this too shall pass. The other thing about pumpkin soup is high in antioxidants and reduces the risk of disease, so they say. Do you know what? Right now, there is so much mental, emotional, and spiritual disease going on. We need a good dose of pumpkin soup. Now, I'm speaking of this figuratively. Mind you, it's not a bad idea if you want to have it in winter as well. But you know what? This pumpkin soup also attacks bacteria. There's a lot of bad bacteria going around. every time you turn on the news. Right now, Sydney on the verge of another lockdown, mask, what now? They consider wearing a mask. When the government starts saying consider, believe you me, it's going to be mandatory. They don't want you to consider. They want you to submit to control. And what we need to do is realize that we, just like this human body, can fight against disease, good air, exercise, sunlight, great diets, avoid the smoking, stay in reasonably good set of fitness and health. You're able to combat. That's why I'm saying we need a good dose of pumpkin soup for the paranoid soul, because right now we need the antioxidants to fight against this. We need to develop a good mindset. So let me give you a few things. Number one, this thing is rooted in fear. Number one, never take advice from your fear. Don't take advice from fear. Why? It will overwhelm you. It will overcome you. It will put you under pressure. It will put you under stress. It will put you under anxiety. It'll make you fear things. Just think of this. How many of you have ever feared something? You felt the fear, it kept you awake at night, you sweated, you could almost taste the fear, but that thing didn't come to pass. Just like this COVID-19 thing, all the fears, oh, we're going to have football stadiums full of people dying and sick, our hospital systems can't cope. Well, where is it? Where is it? It was a fear that never came to pass. Yet people live under that, and it affects them. And again, I'm not having to go at politicians. I'm trying to build up your human and emotional and soul antioxidants so you can fight against these things. The second thing about fear is that fear is something that every David has to face. David one day is going out to fight the great giant Goliath, who is the epitome of fear. And he says this. He says, hey, aren't we people of covenant? Aren't we people that can beat this guy? Hey, we've got promises here. We've got a future here. You know what will combat the paranoia and the fear-mongering that's going on? Realizing that you've got a future. Realizing that your future is greater than any politician. Realizing that you can fight for your future. Realize that you can stand for your future. Realize you can fight against the evils that are happening. Isn't it amazing? Listen to me very carefully. That all of a sudden, in this period of time, child trafficking's gone through the roof, or we're becoming more aware of it anyway. The whole sex trade thing with the Epsteins and everybody else is coming to the light, and all this thing, the vaccine movement, all of this stuff, the Black Lives Matters and all this rising up of anarchism. Isn't it interesting? As one virus arose, all these other viruses began to be emerging forces. You know what, and I don't mean to get over spiritual here. If I was the devil and on my last days, I'd be pulling out my heavy artillery too. Just realize you've got a future. There are dark forces out there. And whether you believe in them or not, doesn't matter to me. You've got to make up your own mind. But you've got to realize that you can fight against the forces. Fear is an evil force, whether it's real or imagined, and it can terrorize your soul. Do you realize 365 times in the book of life it says, do not fear? Why? Because fear is a natural part of life. Yet these emotional domestic terrorists, in whatever form they take, want to grip you and keep you imprisoned. So don't take advice from your fear. Number two, realize that fear is the giant that every David must face. And if you knew the prize that was in front of you, the future that was ahead of you, you wouldn't be concerned with the Goliath that you're facing right now. Here's the other thing is this. Most of our fears, I said, never, 90%, 95% of our fears never come to pass. Well, what about the 5%? Focus on the 95%. Here's some chicken soup for the paranoid soul. Be grateful. Get up every day and be grateful. Be thankful for something in your life. I'm thankful that you guys are listening to me. I'm thankful. Listen very carefully. And I know my great helper here, Jonathan, we're going to put this in the chat here and right all over our YouTube channel. My great friend, Mark Victor Hansen, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I have him as my special guest this Sunday, a live virtual summit. And we're giving away a small amount of free tickets for this. Guys, you can avail them. Click and register for them right now. Mark Victor does not do a lot of virtual summits. Mark Victor Hansen has licensed literally thousands of products, sold over 500 million copies of his book, a great man of great values. And what he's going to tell you as well is a little bit of insight, a little peek behind the curtain of what's really going on in our world. He and I have had some incredible discussions, and you're going to hear, listen, firsthand, from one of the world's greatest leaders, persons of influence, a great economic facilitator of people's lives. You don't want to miss it. And of course, we're going to see it as a chicken soup for our soul. So make sure you register, please, whatever you're doing. Watch this. You guys can, those of you that are churchgoers or not churchgoers, hey, take time out from church on Sunday and get on this thing and watch it, because it'll change your life. Those of you that have been to many of our other seminars, spread the word out. Spread the word out. If you're in business, you need to be aware where business is going. Mark's going to give you some incredible insight, and then we're also going to have a Q&A with him. So make sure you're part of this, guys. You don't want to hear about it. You want to be part of it. But let me get back to what I was talking about today. You see, you must never take advice from your fear. Fear is the giant that every one of us face. The only power that fear has over you is when you yield to it. Several years ago, I was struggling with a fear of flying, and it was getting to me. I hear a noise, or there was a bit of turbulence, and I'd freak out. I'd be dreaming in planes that the plane was going to crash. I remember one day I'm sitting hanging onto my seat, it's taking off, and it's taking off, and when it hit a certain level, the seatbelt sign came off, and the guy next to me said, "You can let go of my arm now." I realized then I had a problem. So I decided to do a couple of things to help overcome my fear. Number one, I got on a plane and jumped out with a parachute. Number two, I became informed about what those noises were, what turbulence was. I got myself informed, and I faced my fear. Right now, can I encourage you? Face your fears and get informed. It'll keep you in great mental health. It'll keep your soul full of vitamins to be able to withstand the onslaughts. It'll help you realize you're bigger than this. The human spirit, the human soul is bigger than any Chinese virus, is bigger than any political leaders' agendas. Just look at some of the people that overcame such incredible things like my mind's gone blank. But Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning in Nazi Germany wrote that incredible book, held under that regime in a concentration camp, wrote that beautiful book, Man's Search for Meaning. Think of the Anne Franks. Think of people that have overcome because they did not bow to the paranoia and the fear. Fear is a terrorist. Make no mistake about it. Fear is a terrorist to your soul, to your finances, to an economy. It's a terrorist to the spirit of, to the human spirit. Don't give into it. Take some good pumpkin soup. Good pumpkin soup, like reading, getting informed, getting on this seminar. I tell you what, son, it's going to be awesome. Get involved, get your spirit lift up. It's going to really lift you up. Listen to stuff that builds you up. I'm tired about speaking about, politicians and what they're doing. I'm here to inspire your soul. Pumpkin soup, it contains vitamin A. It's good for the eyesight. Realize this. It's time to comfort yourself and plan. And understand this. You're bigger than this. You're bigger than this. Do you know, if we could only see into the future, we'll look back years from now and go, wow, we overcame this. We beat this. I'm not talking about a virus. I'm talking about that mental virus that's assaulting and trying to assault our minds. Make no mistake about it. The biggest virus is what's going on here and in the hearts of men. Let not your heart be troubled. You're bigger than this. Even if you go to the valley of the shadow of death, you got someone that's for you. That's not a religious statement. You know that darkness can never overcome the little spark of light. Even a spark of light lights up the darkest room. Anyway, guys, look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night. Make sure you register for this super event, Chicken Soup for the COVID Soul, this Sunday. Don't think, I'm going to watch a replay. Get on it. Log in. You don't want to miss out. Hey, God bless you. You have a prosperous life.